Good evening, folks. So I watched the debate. It was pretty interesting. The Great Debate: Has Science Refuted Religion? Sean Carroll and Michael Shermer were arguing the positive, yes, it has. And Dinesh D'Souza and Ian Hutchinson were arguing the negative, saying no, science has not refuted religion. So I just want to pick on Dinesh's some of his points, just a few of them. So they had a typical kind of debate style where they opened with opening statements, 5-minute rebuttal things, and then they had a 5-minute question where one of them would question another one for 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes. That was pretty cool. I like that. It was like Shelley Kagan and William Lane Craig when they did a debate, and it was awesome. That was the best way to do things, I think. But anyways, so he has a few points in here that are very odd. So he starts, Dinesh D'Souza, in his opening statement. He comes out of the gates guns a-blazing because he's upset. He feels like he's in the lion's den. He feels like the audience is basically all on the positive side, saying that, yeah, science is refuted. And he's upset about this, so he's trying to point out the guilt thing here. He says, referring to the audience throughout the debate, that they should think of this. What are the hidden assumptions of my own point of view am I overlooking because I am blind to them? So he's saying that, all you people are assuming things. You're all assuming things. You're conditioned to think this way. And you're assuming things, and there are things you're assuming and you can't see them. So he's going to point them out to you. So just remember that when I'm pointing out some of the stuff that he talks about. So in his opening statement, he talks about science, not the only source of knowledge. Now, he gives a little story, a little allegory story, a little thing here. Dinesh is boiling water and then brings in a scientist to give the scientific explanation of what's going on. The scientist gives the scientific explanation by referring to the laws of physics and blah, 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 boiling water, molecules, da-da-da. That's one explanation of what's happening, so Dinesh says. But the other is, and the rest is in quotes here, Dinesh is trying to make a cup of tea. Now that is a second and a perfectly valid and in fact a needed explanation to give a full and accurate account of what's going on. To pretend that the scientific explanation is the only explanation is just plain ignorant. And the scientific explanation would not suffice to give a full account of the empirical facts. Well, yes, indeed, you're right. But is it useful to know that Dinesh is making tea? How useful is that? Or is it more useful to know the laws of physics behind that water boiling, so you can understand and manipulate it, harness it, create the steam engine, invention upon invention, progress, utilitarian purposes. That's why science and the knowledge it gets, knowledge it garnishes, that's why it's better. It's better than your supernatural knowledge. You have, sure, whatever, fine, you have supernatural knowledge. I don't care. It's not useful. I want what is useful. What is progressive. What helps medicine, what helps technology, biology, all these things, cosmology, what any of these things you're talking about. So if we wanted it your way, we'd still be sitting there looking at a pot of water boiling, thinking, okay, we're going to make a broth, or we're going to make a tea out of it, or maybe we can make some instant coffee, or maybe just, some coffee, maybe some Itchy Bad noodles with it. No, that's what we'd still be doing. See, your knowledge is not useful. That's the problem. Now, another point he comes up with, this is in the question period, and Shermer is questioning him. In the first question, I do believe, no, it isn't the first question. This is one of the questions he asked. But he says, Shermer asked, if science is not the only tool, by what other means do you gather information to come to conclusions? And Dinesh answers, there are historical evidences, philosophical evidences, empirical evidences. If we want, and then he goes on to another little story. If we went to a village of 100 people and 95% said, we happen to know this guy named Bill, And there were 5 guys, of which 3 of them said, "We've never heard of Bill." And 2 of them said, "There's no Bill. There's no such person. We think the other 95 made him up. They're hallucinating." We'd have to ask, as outsiders, what's more likely, that 95% of people are hallucinating? Or the other 5 guys just don't know Bill? These are ways, not scientific ways, but human ways, experiential ways, empirical ways. That's the end. He carries on a little bit after that, but once again, they're not scientific, but they're empirical. Whatever that means, I don't know what that means. Anyways, so it's a couple of little niggly things I have with this. He talks about 100 people, so you got a base of 100 people, a population. Then he goes on to talk about 95% of them having a faith. Basically, that's the allegory. They know a guy named Bill. 95% of them, so they have a faith. And then there were 5 guys. See, 95% and 5 guys is kind of like a psychological thing. 95% sounds like, whoa, encompasses a lot, and it's just 5 guys over here that don't believe it? They're idiots. Why don't you say it's the same thing? But if you just said 5%, it wouldn't be as much of an impact, I don't believe, that he's trying to make on the idiots, that is, who might not see that. Anyways, so this allegory, he's talking about, a village, so the globe, that's the world. 95% of the population have a faith of some sort, right? But he's saying they only know one faith, Bill. No, that's wrong. The story would be a lot more appropriate if you said he had a village of 100 people, 95 of them, each knew an individual. Each of them knew an individual that didn't know the others. So 95 knew 95 more. The other 5 only had reason to come to the conclusion that there were a total sum of 100 people in the village, not 195, because they didn't see any other houses. Where do these 95 other people work? They never saw them at the store, movies. They never saw them anywhere. Where's the infrastructure for them? Do they pay taxes? Where are these other 95 people that... So, that's more apt, because the 95 people don't know one Bill. They know each individual a god, each individually. So, based on that, I don't know. I would think that there's probably 100 million gods inhabiting the universe, or there's no gods. Because everybody seems to believe in their own god. Even within Christianity, within each, I believe they have certain things that would not be in these other gods' descriptions. So that's a bit more of an apt description, I think. Anyways, that makes sense to you. Now, the last thing here is Shermer asks at the end here. Actually, this is the first question he asked. Dinesh, in the sea of almost illimitable human imagination that has created tens of thousands of religions, which is the right one? Dinesh D'Souza answers without hesitation, mine. Just like that. The only thing I saw in him was he thought in his head right before he answered. Oh, what a silly question. Mine. So, Dinesh, I ask you, what are the hidden assumptions of your own point of view that you're overlooking because you are blind to them? Thanks for listening. Hopefully that made sense. It's kind of tough to do off the cuff. Ta-ta for now.